All right, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, and this is Smell Goods. Appreciate you stopping through, hanging out with me, coming, checking out what I've got to say. I definitely appreciate it because it means the world to me, all right? And I don't say that just to say something. I mean, literally, I appreciate each and every one of you stopping through, coming in, hanging out with me, and listening to what I have to say about these fragrances that we all seem to love. All right. For today's video, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to give you, as far as, you know, some of you may be starting your collection, looking to add to your collection, but I wanted to give you some fragrances that I've got in my collection that I think might be a good start. If you're looking to start a collection, these might be some good fragrances, and these are only clones. These are only fragrances that fall into the clone category, the cover remix category, what have you, whatever you will. These are fragrances that only fall into that. So these are all probably going to be nice budget options as well. I think of the fragrances I have here, the most that I've seen one of them for is like $65 or so. Other than that, these are all going to be in that nice, reasonable price range for picking up fragrances. All right. And so, you know, sometimes if you've been around the channel for a while, or if you're new, welcome. Appreciate you stopping through. But I kind of try and think through, okay, if I'm going to give you, I want to break it down into things that could be useful for you. So I kind of have these broken down into some different categories that might be helpful for you. All right, let's just jump into it. I'm going to give you, again, 10 fragrances that will help you start your collection for 2025 or whatever year you're watching this, but only using clones. All right, first category, if you will, are going to be those that I think are going to be just kind of very versatile. You could use them for a variety of situations. They work both in evening time and work as day wear as well. First one up is this one right here, Game of Spades Wild Card. Now this is their take on Bond number 9, Lafayette Street. Lafayette Street, in my opinion, is a very versatile fragrance anyway. It's one that definitely works as a date night scent, works as an evening scent, but it also works as a t-shirt, jeans, and fresh Air Force Ones type of a scent. This is just a great one. And this one, in my opinion, is about 98 percentile of its way to the original, to Bond number 9, Lafayette Street. So if you're starting a collection, I think that this would be one that would definitely be helpful in getting your collection going. Again, this is Game of Spades Wild Card. All right, kind of also in that, as far as another one that I think is a versatile wear, is one that recently got into my collection and one that I slept on just because I knew it was out there, just never reached for it, never grabbed it. When I finally did, I was like, yeah, I should have gone back and gotten that one, or should have gotten that one when I could have originally. And we're talking about from Armaf. This is Club de Nuit Pre-Show 1, and we're in 2025. So hopefully there's a Pre-Show 2 coming out soon of something else, because this is their take on Creed Aventus Absolute. Sorry, I've got that little dangling thing, but Creed Aventus Absolute, banger job of it. Does a nice job, does a good job of performing, does a good job of lasting and longevity, sillage, projection, all those fun things. And I think I think any collection, in my opinion, should have or will have at least something in the Creed Aventus space. Not saying you have to have a Creed Aventus, not saying you have to have a direct clone, but something, as I'm thinking and looking through this, something at least in that space, just because it is such a versatile scent that works in a variety of situations. All right, so the next one up, or the second one up, is Club de Nuit Pre-Show, as far as building your collection. All right, let's put that over there. Next, I was thinking, okay, what are some fragrances for those kind of elevated nights out, those vanilla scents, if you will, that are going to work in those, definitely in those intentional fragrances or intentional situations, that's to say. And so the first one I have is from Paris Corner. This is Rifakat, whatever, however you pronounce it. This is their take on Baby Cat. Just a nice vanilla scent that works, in my opinion, for those intentional evenings. Nice scent that works for those somewhat elevated situations as well. This one right here, yeah, this is Definitely something you might want to have in your collection that will give you a little elevation to what you've got going on. A little elevation for those. This is not going to be an everyday wear. This is going to be for those intentional situations and circumstances. All right. And again, this is Rificat, or however you pronounce it. This is, again, their take on Baby Cat by YSL. In that same vein, another fragrance that is from the same house as far as YSL, another fragrance that I have a clone of, another fragrance from YSL that I have a clone of, definitely, again, works, in my opinion, for those intentional elevated situations. This one is by Maison Alhambra, which is a subsidiary of Lattafa. This is Kismet. This is their take on Tuxedo. Yeah, this just, it works very well. It is, in my opinion, of what I've smelled of Tuxedo clones or dupes, what have you. This is probably the one that is at the top of the pile, at least in my opinion. All right. This is just, again, I've worn this to a couple of banquets that my wife and I attended. This is more of an elevated, more of a, this is more of a black tie affair. All right. That's kind of what this fragrance is giving the impression of, giving the feeling of, and finds itself at home for. This is more for those elevated night out experiences. You could, of course, use it, of course, for a date night, but I think it really finds at home when you've got just everything going well as far as your attire, and it's that right situation. That's this one. All right. Again, Kismet by Maison Alhambra, doing its take on Tuxedo. All right. Then I was like, okay, my audience, because looking at the analytics, I've got an audience that is about my age, in the 50s, 40s, 50s, what have you. But I also got some of the young guys here. So I wanted to give a fragrance for each of those. I want to give a fragrance that if you're an older guy and you want that manly fragrance, that fragrance that is just going to be like, listen, you kind of sitting over in the corner at the lounge, you're sitting back in the cut. If you're a cigar smoker, you're smoking your cigar. I'm not necessarily a smoker or a cigar smoker, but I get the idea. You're sitting in the cut. You may have your old fashioned in hand. I wanted to give you a fragrance that was going to feel kind of at home for that. And this one is its take on Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé. And this is from the house of Fragrance World. I had to look and make sure if it was Fragrance World or Paris or French Avenue, but this is definitely Fragrance World. This is Genuine Man Giovanni Reserve. This, you get the iris in this, you get the bergamot, I think, up top, but then you get that whiskey note that's in the bottom that really just, this to me just speaks, yeah, I'm on my stuff. This is that type of a fragrance. In fact, before my wife and I were in my office in the studio, and she was kind of going through some of my fragrances, and I was like, check this out. She's like, ooh, that's it. So this is definitely a nice one that does a really good job of cloning what is cloning, which is, again, Givenchy Reserve Privé. This is Genuine Man Giovanni Reserve from Fragrance World. Does a bang up job. And this is for my older guys, but hey, if you're a young at heart or young in age but old in the soul, you might check this out as well. This is another one that I think is a nice one to have in your collection if you're looking to start a collection and have some variety in what you are wearing. All right. Now, with that said, I said, like, okay, now I got to have something for my younger guys, for my guys that are out there. You hitting the clubs up, my guys that are out there, hopefully not running the streets too hard, right? But my guys that are out there that are just, you're still in that age, that bracket, what have you, where you don't necessarily want to have something that's mature as far as the scent. You still want to have something that's kind of very playful, if you will. That for me is 9 p.m. by Afnan. This is Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male, which is just the bubblegummy sweetness of this. It feels right for if I were in my 20s, even in my early 30s. I still wear this from time to time, as you can tell. My son has helped me dip into this. But this is definitely a fragrance that I think would be helpful in adding to and starting your collection. And definitely, I think, as far as if I'm thinking age group, this is probably going to be more at home in the younger crowd. But my guys my age, we can rock this, and we rock it well. All right. Again, 9 p.m. by Afnan. All right. Then I was like, okay, I want some things that are kind of just versatile, but also be versatile that would be find its place in the office, right? Find its place in things that, you know, if I'm having to go into the office, I wanted things that kind of fit well in that, but also can help stand out. So first one up is from Lattafa. We have Lattafa Assad. This is the black bottle, the original, the OG. This is their take on Sauvage Elixir. Does a pretty good job, probably in the 90-95 percentile range. Lasts a long time on my skin and on clothes, and does a good job of projecting, does a good job of just doing what it does. And you don't need a whole lot of sprays in this. This is some strong stuff, especially if you let it macerate for a little while, it'll do right by you. All right. But yeah, I definitely say this is something that it would be a staple, in my opinion, in a collection, as far as, especially if you're starting with clones. I think you can't go wrong by having this in there. In fact, this might be considered the bedrock of your collection. All right. Again, Lattafa's Assad is one definitely to have in your burgeoning collection. All right. Alongside that, kind of in that same space, that same mindset, thing as far as what I want that could definitely find its way into the office, and I feel comfortable, confident wearing in an office. And when I say in office, it doesn't have to be a specific type of office situation. This could be just, you know, you working in the call center, you working in, you know, wherever it may be that you work. It might be high level, wherever you work. I think this would find its way in making it, you know, making a nice impression. I am talking about, again, from Lattafa, but this one is Bade Al Oud, Oud for Glory. This is their take on Oud for Greatness by Initio. One of my definite favorite scents. Works very well. In fact, here's a hint. If you have this and the purple one, layer them together, turns magical. All right. But on its own, this right here, you want to have this in your collection. Something that I think will work very well and works definitely office, can also slip into the evening. This is versatile. This probably could have gone into my versatile framework as well. But I definitely wanted to keep this in that same space as kind of my Assad. All right. And then the last two, I think I've given you 8 so far. The last two are kind of those fresh ones, those ones that are going to be more for just fresh, whether it's, you know, gym scents, whether it is running around scents, just hanging out on a Saturday, whether it's spring or summer type of fragrance. I have one that works definitely more in, well, actually one works pretty much all year round, in my opinion. It probably finds its home more in the spring and summer. Another one that can work all year round, but more finds its home, in my opinion, in the fall and winter. All right. And for the spring, summer, but yearly, all year round, it's going to be from Lage. This is Shiaka Red Label. This one, it's doing its take on our Amouage Reflection, which is just a nice green, fresh, somewhat spicy scent. That actually I have a decant that I was wearing the other day, but this does a good job. And I was like, you know what? This definitely should make it in your collection. If you're looking for a nice fresh one that has some staying power, it's not going to be beast mode performance out of this, but it is going to have some nice staying power, and it's going to be not your average or not your cookie cutter freshie, if you will. I was debating between this and was it My Here, which is their take on Setley from Lattafa. This one edged it out because this one's just a little different, a little more unique in my opinion. My Here Legacy is a nice one, and I'll put the bottle just so you know what I'm talking about. It's a nice one. It's just Sprite in a bottle. This just does something a little different for that freshness. It does something a little different. And of course, it is taking on Amouage Reflection, which is one of the better, or one of the greater scents that I actually like and enjoy from Amouage. So this one, yeah, you want to have this in your collection as well. All right. And then the last one, if we're building our collection, again, I'm giving you 10 fragrances that if you're starting your collection from scratch, using only clones, I wanted to give you 10. This one is a nice, fresh, clean one. Lots of nice tea, little fig in this. We're talking about Lattafa's Liam Gray. This is their take on BDK's Gris Chanel. I find this works more at home, in my opinion, fall, winterish, but it definitely can also flow in the spring. I think I did rock this a little bit in the summer, which my summers are 110, 120 degrees sometimes. So it still works there. But this, just a nice, fresh, clean, The tea on this just really pops out really nicely. The fig is there as an undercurrent that works in there as well. Just a great fragrance that I think would be a masterpiece to have within your collection as well. All right, that's it. I think I've given you all 10 of the fragrances that if I were building my collection from scratch and I was just looking to start something with that, I think I've given you enough fragrances that give you enough diversification so that you can have a nice varied collection, and then of course build from there. Right, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if of this, what you might take out, what you might add in, what you might replace. But as always, I simply ask, do me the favor of making sure you stay safe, stay sane, and stay smelling good. And I've given you some fragrances that'll help you stay smelling good. Right, and then also do me the honor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, request notifications, share. Meet me in the comments. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed. Deuces.